2021 school year. So when you arrive at the website, the shortcut being is.gd/shsmc, you'll see that you can land right on this page and go right to research. You can find library books or request books from our catalog for your research. And that also exists right here. So I'm just going to start with the library books because it looks a little different this year. In order to get a book from our collection, you are going to first look at the collection, which is at this shortcut, is.gd/showmebooks. And it brings you here and you see that we have a lot of doubles in terms of our fiction. It shows up here and on Sora. But let's just say that you want to look at what we have for civil rights or for Black History Month. You would come here and you would say, okay, I'm going to be writing about Barack Obama, and so I'm going to need this book, and you're going to click on it. It will tell you right away if the book is in, and it is, and that's a physical book. So you would copy this along with the title and the author, and you would go back to that library book request and fill this out. So this is telling me your name, that you visited the collection. You're going to give me the title, the author. If you can put the call number in there, it'd be great as well. And then you just tell me what date you think you're going to come, and we will label it with your name, and you will pick it up in the main entrance of the school. Okay, so moving on. Otherwise, everything should be available to you online, and we've done that on purpose, and it's sort of always, it will always be this way forevermore. I mean, it has been for a while, but we just didn't feel like it was the only option because we could see you. So anyway, when you click on research, you're going to want to bookmark this page. So using Control D or Command D, I would make a bookmark, and then you'll see that you'll have the nice purple favicon up in your bookmark bar for easy reminding. It's also really important to know if you ever want to do some organization with your bookmarks, you can make folders of bookmarks and have folders within folders, etc. And it makes searching a lot easier so that you don't have this mess or slew of things like I have up here. Anyway, let's go over what we have on the page here. We have the Gale database, which is a screenshot here. This is what it looks like. And the reason I've included that screenshot is that we have some quick links for you this year. So if you just click on IB History, it will ask you for your password, and the password will always be Ravens. That takes you to the new updated collection specifically gathered for you and for the topics that I know you will be looking at for this assignment. Okay. Now let's go back to that screenshot. Okay. We also have eBooks 2021. This is a new link, and this has some really hot topics in terms of controversial issues, looking at race, stereotypes, DACA, etc. So you'll see that if you click on one of these books, you read the book right here in the browser. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that you're doing your essay on DACA or on the protection of undocumented immigrants, and now we're in the Gale database. So you can use all of the same tools that you've been using over the years. So the first step, though, is to sign in with Google. And then once you cite something, it automatically generates the citation for you, and you don't even have to copy it and paste it. You can simply select Google Drive, click select, and then in a few minutes, I'll show you what that will look like. Okay. So you have options there. You can download the portion of the book into the PDF. You can, of course, highlight it and make notes, and everything will work with your Google document. All right, but let's go back to the Media Center page. So let's just say that you're not sure what you're studying yet, and of course you can just click on these collections as they are to come up with some ideas, but you can always just go into Gale and you can do what's called a power search. So let's say I don't know what I want to write about, but I know I want to write about riots. So I'm going to type in riots, and then it takes me to this power search page, and it tells me there's 30,000 magazine articles, 14,000 plus academic journals. This is too much. So what I want to show you this year is this topic finder. So I'm going to click start the topic finder, and based on the word I already put in there, riots, it takes me through different collections or groupings of topics, right? So I don't know what riots good is. Let's go ahead and click on that and see what it says. Okay, so it looks like they're talking about the most recent riots last summer with the response to the Minneapolis murder of George Floyd. And you can see, okay, but then we get into public libraries and strategic lessons I learned from the pandemic. It's a very interesting list. So let's go to the Capitol riots now. We have updated work from 2021. So that shows you that these databases are fairly up to date. When you click on recent riots, you'll see that then it starts looking at a little bit broader scale because it goes back to the 90s and to the LA riots. And so what I like about the topic finder is that you might not know exactly what you want to write yet, but by looking at the groupings, you can see, maybe I do want to write about the Los Angeles riots, particularly looking at Rodney King or how the media portrayed the riots, etc. Okay, so that is Gale in a nutshell. Let's move on to JSTOR. JSTOR is a collection of academic journals. Once you get here, it's highly recommended that you log in and make your own account so that you can keep folders and whatnot, because you can't do everything as easily as you can in Gale, but it's still very easy. So you can click log in through your library, and you should be able to log in using, username is Sequoia, the password is Ravens. Okay, now it says access provided by Sequoia High School. So again, you can go to advanced search, but let's just go ahead and do the same exact search. I'm going to put riot. Obviously, way too many results, okay? But you'll see we're also getting some art and some images, and those are perfectly acceptable to cite if you have some other content as well. Okay, so we do need advanced search here. We could do the keyword, and then you'll notice we want to use our Boolean search terms, and, or not. Now, this is really interesting, near 5, near 10, near 25. That is in terms of years, I believe, and we'll come back to that in a minute. So I'm going to say, I'm going to say riots, and I'm going to say race. Okay, so then I go ahead and I am still at 35,000 results. So you can then go ahead and look at your subjects down here. You can set your publication dates. You can tell it what you want, if you just want documents or if you just want journals. And then what you'll see is that you have to actually download the PDFs, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click on an example here, okay? And so it took me to a whole different collection because I clicked on the collection instead of the article title, which is interesting. I should have just seen that, okay? And then if I want to just see this document, I should click on the actual title. Let's see. And then you'll notice that you get the scanned version, okay? You always want to consider your date. If 1985 is relevant to what you're writing about, it may be that you want to find a variety of dates to apply to your topic, and that's fine. So just make sure that you're keeping that in mind. And then what's great about this is that you can, of course, save it if you've made your own account, and then you can use your citation tool as well. So you have cite this item here. It gives you your choices, and the only difference here is that you actually have to copy and paste it into your citation. So let's take a moment to go back to my waffle over here, and I'm going to click on my Google Drive. And I refresh and I see that my citation from that book I showed you earlier, the DACA book, is already typed in on its own document. Okay, so it went ahead and it copied and pasted in the book that I showed you in my first example, and it did so even with a hanging indent, which is really great. Okay, now that I have that in, I'm going to do a couple spaces. I'm going to hit Command V, and now I have the race relations citation that I need. Now, this is great. This is not the final format, right? Your final format should be Times New Roman. You're also going to double space. And this is just a good habit to get into so that you do this for college. But my true advice is that when you get to college, you need to communicate with your professor to see what they are asking for, because it might be different. Now, let's just say that this hanging indent wasn't there. Okay, let's say that you copied and pasted and it didn't have the hanging indent. I want to show you how to do that. You're going to highlight one citation. You're going to move the indent in 0.5 and bring just the top back. And that is how you make a hanging indent. There is a GIF on my website showing you how to do that, but it's always good to see live. Okay, now I didn't line that up perfectly, so I would go back and fix that. Okay, so you want to keep your sources as you go, and that is because you can do a reverse lookup. So let's go ahead. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to open a new window. Let's open up an incognito window just to see what happens. So since I'm not logged in, I hit the citation, and now it takes me back to JSTOR. It took me a different way, but it gives me that same exact article. So that's why citations are good. I'm not logged in through Sequoia. I went totally incognito, so that, just to give you an example, you then have to go through the steps again of logging in with your Sequoia accounts, etc. But that the citations really help you get back. Okay, now notice I have all of these tabs open. One of my favorite things is to install Chrome extensions, and I have a whole other example on that. But by using this extension called One Tab, I can go ahead and click that, and then I can walk away, and you see I have all my tabs right here. So I could do day one, and call it day one IBIA, and now I can share this as a web page to myself, and then I have all of these to open up when I want to come back to it, right? So let's see, now I come back, I open up a new browser, I go and I click on my One Tab, and it says, here we go, day one IB. So I can restore all of my tabs. And that's really helpful, especially if you share a computer with somebody at home and you think, but I had all my tabs open. It's a really great way. Okay, so now since my calendar keeps opening, let's go back and talk about, again, communicating with me. So you're on the home page right here. You have a reminder that you can Zoom with me by clicking this bar. Now it's not open right now, but the best thing to do is send me an email, and then we can set up a Zoom. The YouTube channel now has a playlist for you for IB history, and that will tell you all of the videos that I think are essential to understanding how to do research at Sequoia. Okay, and then of course you have social media links. You have fiction books online. There's a little bit of nonfiction in there. There's not as much. If you are also writing your extended essay, you're already familiar that these overlap quite a bit. And then it's always a good idea to look down here and see what else is being featured. Okay, now some of these I'm having problems with, so I will be updating them hopefully by the time you see this. But you can go ahead and do an old-fashioned search right here. Let's see, you want to see what we have on Frederick Douglass. We're going to type that in, and it takes me to the collection. Okay, this is the old way to look through the collection. And then, of course, I get sidetracked because now I think about Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and I never knew who she was until the terrible incident a few years ago. And so it's just a reminder that this is where you look for books, and you can request them again by going back to that survey. Okay, that's a reminder for today. I will, of course, do some of this live with you, and I can't wait to be in touch.